Picture yourself in a national park. The air is crisp, the scenery is breathtaking, and the silence of the forest feels peaceful. You are surrounded by nature's beauty. But for thousands of people over the last century, this beauty became a trap. Every year, millions visit America's wilderness areas. Most return home with photos and memories, but a disturbing number of people simply vanish. They don't just get lost, they disappear as if erased from existence. No tracks, no scent for dogs to follow, no screams. This isn't about simple hiking accidents or animal attacks. This is about experienced outdoorsmen vanishing from trails they've walked 100 times. It's about toddlers traveling impossible distances over mountain ranges in mere hours. It's about the terrifying silence that descends right before someone is taken. Welcome to the world of Missing 411.
Our story doesn't begin with a disappearance, but with a refusal. In 2008, David Paulides, a former police detective with 20 years of law enforcement experience, was visiting a national park. He was approached by off-duty park rangers who were troubled. They told Paulides that they were seeing an alarming number of people vanishing in the parks under baffling circumstances, and worse, they claimed the National Park Service was deliberately not tracking these numbers. Intrigued, Paulides began an investigation. He filed Freedom of Information Act requests asking for a list of missing persons in national parks. The response he got was chilling. The government claimed no such list existed. They told him if he wanted the data, it would cost him over $1.4 million to compile. Why would the agency responsible for visitor safety not track who goes missing? Paulides realized he had to do the work himself. He spent years combing through archives, police reports, and search and rescue logs dating back to the late 1800s. He wasn't looking for just any missing person case. He was looking for the ones that didn't make sense, the ones that defied logic. He found thousands, and as he pinned them to a map, a terrifying picture emerged.
What makes a case a missing 411 case? It's not just about being lost. Paulides identified a strict set of profile points, eerie similarities that link cases across decades and thousands of miles. Cluster zones. The disappearances aren't random. They're tightly clustered in specific areas: Yosemite, the Great Smoky Mountains, Crater Lake, and the Great Lakes region. Instant weather changes. In hundreds of cases, the moment a search begins, the weather turns catastrophic. Sudden blizzards, torrential rain or fog rolled in out of nowhere, wiping away footprints and grounding rescue helicopters. Canines can't track. In a staggering number of these cases, highly trained tracking dogs that can find a drop of blood in a rainstorm, refuse to track. They lie down, whine, or act terrified. They catch a scent, and then it just stops. The shoes. Victims, both children and adults, are often found miles away without their shoes or socks. Their feet are pristine, no cuts, no bruises, suggesting they didn't walk there. Impossible physics. Toddlers are found miles away and thousands of feet up mountains, distances that would challenge a fit adult, traversed in a time frame that is physically impossible for a child. The silence. Survivors often report a zone of silence descending on the woods just before the event. No birds, no wind, just an oppressive, heavy stillness.
To understand the horror of this phenomenon, we must look at the case that started it all for many researchers. It was Father's Day, June 14, 1969. In the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the Martin family was enjoying a tradition. 6-year-old Dennis Martin was a robust, healthy boy. He was playing tag with his brothers and cousins in a grassy clearing called Spence Field. Dennis decided to play a prank on the adults. He planned to hide behind a bush and jump out to scare his grandfather. His father watched him step behind the bush. It was a distance of maybe 20 feet. Dennis was never seen again. Within minutes, the family went to find him. He was gone. No sound, no trace. The search that followed was the largest in national park history. Over 1,400 people, including the National Guard and Green Berets, combed every inch of the forest. But here is where it gets strange. A few miles away, another family, the Keys, were hiking. They heard a scream. Then they saw a rough-looking, wild man sprinting through the woods, carrying something red over his shoulder. Dennis Martin was wearing a bright red shirt. The FBI investigated the sighting, but concluded it wasn't related because the distance was too far for the kidnapper to travel in that time. Even stranger, the Green Berets who arrived were armed and set up a secure perimeter. The lead FBI agent later committed suicide. The records of the search remain sealed or lost. Dennis Martin's fate remains one of the most disturbing unsolved mysteries in American history.
If Dennis Martin was a tragedy, the case of Keith Parkins is a mathematical impossibility. In 1952, 2-year-old Keith Parkins vanished from his grandfather's ranch in Ritter, Oregon. He was playing near the barn. Ritter is rugged, unforgiving terrain. Keith was missing for 19 hours. When searchers finally found him, they were stunned. He was found alive, face down on a frozen pond 12 miles away from where he vanished. To get there, this toddler would have had to cross 2 mountain ranges, walk through fences, navigate dense forests, and walk for 19 hours straight in the dark. But that's not the strangest part. When they found Keith, he had taken off his jacket. His shoes were missing, yet his feet were not cut or bruised. How does a 2-year-old walk 12 miles over sharp volcanic rock and brambles without a scratch on his feet? Many investigators believe he didn't walk. He was taken, and then, for some reason, he was put back.
It's not just children. Strong, experienced outdoorsmen vanish just as easily. Take the case of Aaron Hedges in the crazy mountains of Montana, 2014. Aaron was an experienced hunter. He was with friends, armed, and knew the area. He got separated from his group and radioed that he was heading back to camp. He never arrived. Months later, they found his boots and camelback water bladder. They were found in the snow miles in the opposite direction of where he said he was going. A year later, his backpack was found. Inside, his fire starter, gun, and GPS were untouched. He hadn't used his survival gear. Finally, they found his remains. He was only wearing socks. He was miles away from his boots. Why would an experienced hunter leave his boots in the snow? Why walk in the opposite direction of safety? This is a phenomenon known as paradoxical undressing, often attributed to hypothermia, but the timeline and the location of the gear suggest something chased him or lured him to his death.
What is happening out there? Theories abound, and none of them are comforting. The natural theory. Skeptics argue these are simply cases of hypothermia, animal attacks like cougars or bears, or people falling into ravines. They argue that nature is cruel and vast, and bodies are hard to find. However, this doesn't explain the shoes found neatly lined up. It doesn't explain the children traveling impossible distances. It doesn't explain the tracking dogs who refuse to track.
The criminal theory. Is there a group of serial killers using the national parks as hunting grounds? Is it human trafficking? While possible, the lack of physical evidence, tire tracks, or witnesses makes this difficult to prove in the remote wilderness cases. The feral human theory. Remember the wild man seen carrying something red in the Dennis Martin case? Many believe that deep in the national parks, feral humans, people who have gone off-grid and reverted to a primitive state, are responsible. They know the land better than us. They know how to hide. Then we enter the realm of the unexplainable. Some point to Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Many missing 411 clusters overlap perfectly with areas that have the highest number of Bigfoot sightings. Others suggest portals. Are there thin spots in reality? Places where if you walk between two specific boulders at a specific time, you step out of our world? This would explain why dogs lose the scent instantly and why searchers can scour an area grid by grid and find nothing, only for a body to appear in the middle of the path days later.
Perhaps the most unsettling part of this story is the reaction of the authorities. David Paulides reports that in many cases, the FBI arrives quickly, takes control, and seals the information. Parents are told not to talk to the media. Autopsy reports are classified or listed as undetermined. There is a concept called the Oz factor. Survivors describe a sensation where the forest goes silent. No crickets, no birds. The hair stands up on their neck. They feel they are being watched by something intelligent, and then they lose consciousness. When these survivors are found, often children, they tell bizarre stories. They talk about the big furry man who fed them berries. They talk about being in a bubble. They talk about lights in the sky. Is the government hiding the fact that there is a predator in the woods that we don't understand? Or are they simply trying to protect the tourism industry from panic?
The disappearances haven't stopped. They are happening right now. In recent years, hikers have vanished from Mount Rainier, Joshua Tree, and the Rockies. High-tech drones and thermal imaging are being used now, yet people still disappear without a trace. Just recently, a runner vanished in a park near a populated area. His phone was found placed neatly on a rock. His clothes were folded nearby. He has never been found.
The national parks are America's greatest treasure. They are places of wonder. But the missing 411 cases serve as a grim reminder. We are not at the top of the food chain when we step into the wild. There are 84 million acres of national park land. Most of it is untouched, unmapped, and unknown. The next time you go hiking, look at the trees. Listen to the silence. Stay on the trail. Wear a GPS tracker. And if the woods suddenly go quiet, if the hair on your arm stands up and you feel like you are being watched, don't run. Just turn around and go back to civilization, because something might be waiting for you to make a mistake. The files are open. The pattern is undeniable. The only question left is, who or what is taking them?
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the unexplained, hit that like button and subscribe. Let me know in the comments, do you think these are natural accidents, or is there something else hiding in our national parks?